Hey there, Gemini. This is your Ascendant forecast for the week ahead, starting from Monday, the 15th of December, taking you right the way through to Sunday, the 21st of December, 2025. Now, this is a hyperactive kind of week, we could say. We've got Mars going into Capricorn. He's bringing the muscle in, and absolutely we're coming to a time of taking practical action. We've also got the new moon on Saturday, the 20th, at 28 degrees in the sign of Sagittarius, in a conjunction with the Galactic Centre that is aligned to the center of our galaxy. And we've also got on Sunday, the 21st, we've got the sun going into the sign of Capricorn. That's signaling the December solstice, which for people in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the start of winter. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the start of summer. So yeah, some like three big things are really going to get us activated. And I should also say at the end of the week, we're finishing it on 3 exact squares as well. So there's lots to process for sure. If you're new to this channel, by the way, my name's Louisa. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. I'm going to start by bringing up my slides, and as ever, just say thank you to everybody that supports my channel in the way that you do. I really appreciate that. So I've got 2 different charts here. You'll see you've got Gemini here in the first wedge. We're always counting this from 9 o'clock as we're looking at a clock face. And so this is the first house, the second, third, fourth, right the way through to the 12th house. This is a whole sign Western tropical model that I'm using. Now, if when you look at your birth chart, which I'm sure you do because you're watching this channel, if when you look at your birth chart, you see that you've got the symbol for Gemini and also the symbol for Cancer in your first house, then it also means that Cancer's worth listening to because you've also got that in your first house. Anyway, this is the first chart, and you'll see that at the start of this week, the moon is still in the sign of Libra. And as we head on through the week, the moon goes through Scorpio, Sagittarius into Capricorn, and it's moving towards the end of Capricorn as we're coming to the end of the week. You'll also see that at the start of the week, you've got Mars, the sun, you've got Venus and also Mercury, 4 personal planets in the sign of Sagittarius in the 7th house, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then by the end of the week, you've got the sun and Mars in the 8th house in the sign of Capricorn. So there is a real kind of changing of houses and changing of signs. It feels like there's a changing of the guard in many respects. And of course, we're starting a new season as well. Now, when you look at it listed here, you'll see that there's a lot more going on between the 20th and the 21st. And in fact, there's so much going on that I recorded a short chat that I had with Trassa Grealish from the Goddess Inspired channel. She's a galactic astrologer, and so we were talking about the new moon that's coming up in Sagittarius in a conjunction with the Galactic Centre, because obviously her remit is to look further out through the universe, whereas I'm looking very much in this solar system that we're sat in right now. And so we did this really delightful had this conversation about the potentials and things. And there is also a sign by sign breakdown according to where the new moon and the Galactic Centre are in your chart. So if you're interested in that, keep your eyes peeled on my channel, because it will be released later on this week coming up. And you also see Mars and obviously the sun are going into Capricorn. But this space here between the 20th and the 21st are pretty intense. One thing I haven't listed, because I haven't actually put Lilith in, but Lilith, lots of people look at dwarf planet Lilith. She's quite an interesting character. She's actually going to go into the sign of Sagittarius on the 20th as well. So if Lilith is a dwarf planet that really, if she's somebody that you really pay attention to, and if she has extra resonance for you, then it's worth considering what that means, because Lilith is going to be coming into your 7th house. Now, she is definitely a character that's felt turned off, switched off, shut up. And her arrival in the 7th house could be showing that your relationships are waking up, and that anything that has been secretive is coming out. It might be that your partner is feeling particularly unboundaried, you could say. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But it's a particularly strong little portal here, let's say. So anyway, We start the week on Monday the 15th, and as you can see, on Monday the 15th, we've got the moon going into the sign of Scorpio, and then Mars going into the sign of Capricorn. Now, Mars is very happy in the sign of Capricorn. He gets things moving. And Mars, just to let you know, Mars has a 23-month orbit around the ecliptic, and so the last time he was here was just under 2 years ago. So it's not something he does that often, coming into your ninth house, your eighth house. And this is something like, if you were to look back at the at your records of what you were doing like 23 months ago, no doubt you were considering a lot of more heavier things than usual, because the eighth house is a place where we process a lot of psychological stuff, in particular damage that comes up between people, because I don't think people necessarily go about and fix it in their heads that I want to partner with somebody and cause them trouble. I just think, being in a family, being in a relationship, it brings us to the edges of who we are, and people naturally fall out and they naturally come together again. And sometimes we have an ethos of just putting up with things and turning a blind eye, and there are some relationships that are particularly abusive, and some that work on avoidance and things like that, and there are others that work beautifully. Let's also be positive about the human race. But the eighth house tends to bring up all the things that are secretive, that we keep quiet about, the things that maybe we have shame or guilt or anger about, or resentment's quite a quiet, but it's almost loud. Even though it's quiet, everyone feels a resentful person. And so Mars coming in here could show that some of the stuff you've been hiding is starting to bubble up and you want to take action. Or you might also notice that somebody around you is starting to get a bit loose and free with their inner judgments. Now, it's also a time when you might want to take extra care over your investments, and also to watch the money between you and your partner, or you and your family, all sorts of mixed investments, that are shared, shared resources. They all come under the eighth house as well. So Mars coming in here is potentially showing that there's a lot going on. There's some things to do. It's also quite a sexual part of your chart. So Mars coming in here is also quite helpful if you're ready to get a little bit more sexy and to make love with more intensity. That's absolutely there to help you. So Mars, here is going to be quite fun. He's going to bring you a much deeper and richer experience, whether you like it or not. And of course, the moon coming into the sign of Scorpio is also deepening all of your feelings right now. By the time we come to Wednesday, the 17th, we've got the sun going into an exact square with Saturn. These squares I'm talking about in this forecast, by the way, they take a good week. They're starting to materialize over the space of a week, and after the exactness, these are all the dates of when they're exact, they will pass away gently, but these are the moments where you feel it at a much more heightened level. So you should already have felt some of these energies. The sun in a square to Saturn really shows where responsibility feels quite heavy. Now Saturn is in your 10th house and the sun is in your 7th, so you might feel that you're carrying a lot of responsibility for a partner, and maybe the responsibility is coming on your shoulders, from your career, and your partner is affected by it. But anything to do with work and relationship, carrying, like where you might feel pressure from parents also show up as Saturn, and also parents can really show up in the 10th house. You might feel that there is a parent or a boss or an authority type who is weighing heavily on you and your partner, or on you in such a way that it affects your partnership. And so, the sort of heavy responsibility, it's a time to be really honest with yourself. Like, are you in the right kind of relationship with your boss or with your partner? And where can this heavy responsibility, where can the relief come from that? Because it just feels a little bit difficult. Now, one thing that I do think is happening on Wednesday the 17th, we've also got the moon going into Sagittarius straight after. And so even though things might feel heavy, the moon coming into Sagittarius can lighten it a little bit, or at least get it moving. The moon in your 7th house is likely to show that there's a lot of feeling between you and your partner, possibly conversations between your partner. The moon coming in here is going to make partnership matters a lot more intense, a lot more real. And as the moon comes into Sagittarius, action gets taken. So I don't think, whatever discomfort you might feel to do with responsibility, I think that heaviness is becoming motivation. You're not going to allow yourself to be crushed. You're going to be moving forwards with it. And then on the 18th, that's Thursday, we've got this gorgeous trine between Venus and Chiron. And so whatever you were carrying the last few days, I really feel that you've got a chance to clear it in a way that's very helpful. You might find that there's help from maybe an older friend, or a friend of a friend, somebody that you're kind of related to but not. Also, the 11th house here, where Chiron is a place where we might find our stepchildren if we've got them. But Chiron here is offering us a bone. To me, this is an opportunity to heal something, and to really feel into that healing, because Venus in this lovely trine with Chiron, it's like soft, it's self-soothing, it's gentle, it's repairing, and it can bring about quite a bit of forgiveness. To me, it feels like a huge heart opening. So whatever's been going on since the beginning of the week, I think by the time we're getting to Thursday, the 18th, you're really ready to let things go, or you're feeling forgiven, or you're feeling like there's access to move beyond it, which is really nice. I like this. And then we're heading into the bulk of this, which is the weekend, Saturday the 20th. So I'm just moving my image along. Now, on Saturday the 20th, the moon is actually here on Saturday the 20th. And so we've got the new moon in Sagittarius at 28 degrees in your 7th house, in a conjunction with the Galactic Centre. Now, the 7th house is a great place if you're looking for love, or if you're looking for relief with love, if you're looking for a new situation to come in, or a new way of understanding your partner. This new moon here could be very helpful. It can definitely bring in new love, and it can definitely bring in a new phase in your relationship that should feel much more comfy. And the fact that it's connected to the Galactic Centre, I think, can connect you up to past loves, past family members, ancestors, but it could also connect you up to the feeling that you're connected to everyone in the universe, in our galaxy. You might feel like you're connected to source. You might feel like you're connected to God, or Kuan Yin, or whoever it is that you get that sense of calm and peace from. I really feel that there is some kind of mythic rebirth, and yeah, this is allowing you to move forwards in your relationship in quite a spiritual way. So it feels really nice. At the same time, Mercury is in a T-square with the North Node and the South Node. This T-square is really reminding you that everywhere where you've kept your communication very much based on what everyone around you, like in your family, is going to enjoy, it feels like you've already done that. You know how to keep everyone happy. But is keeping everyone happy the real route to real friendliness and success? Mercury is your ruling planet, and in the 7th house, it's helpful in terms of getting things moving with your relationships and having good conversations. But right now, Mercury is being challenged to be able to reach more people, not just keep it close to home and safe. Sorry, I've got really itchy nose. So Mercury is really asking you, who else can you communicate with? Who else can you challenge your communication? Like, how else can you be challenged but rise beyond it? To me, this is about coming into a greater level of honesty. Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius is really talking about truth, and kind of reclaiming your voice. Now, I do also want to say, Lilith is coming in here as well. And when she comes in to the sign of Sagittarius, she is absolutely wanting to be heard. And so she might be heard through your partner's voice, or you might feel that you're advocating and talking for your partner. And so I do think there's this like much more strident voice coming from you that is getting ready to be heard by more people. And it could be quite challenging. It could feel you leaving a little, it could find you feeling a little uncomfortable with that. And then we're coming into the 21st, by which point, the moon has gone into Capricorn, and the sun's getting ready for it. But before the sun moves in, the sun makes one final square with Neptune across the signs of Sagittarius and Pisces. Now, the sun in a square to Neptune can leave us feeling really a little bit lost, like there's a lot that's dissolving, your old stories about yourself and your relationships, because the sun's in the 7th house, so all of the ideas that you have about your relationship and work, the meaning of life in terms of your relationship and work, it all seems to be like changing. It's in flux. Nothing feels like it's staying the same, and it could be a bit confusing. But to me, this is really showing you that really what's going on is everything that's not for you is just dissolving away. And because this is happening across your 7th and 10th houses, like the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th, they are the 4 most important houses. You'll be feeling this so much more sharply than other people, and it could feel really life-changing. But what is not for you is melting away. It's coming out of your existence. At the same time, we've got Venus in a square to Saturn across the 7th house and the 10th house again. And, when Venus comes into a square with Saturn, we tend to feel a bit cut off from people. We feel a little bit lost, a little bit like, do you know what? It'd be easier for me to do this myself. I have to do this myself. I can't rely on anyone. And even if I did, how do I know that somebody really will stick by me and be responsible to me? So it brings up quite a lot of our doubts about being lovable. And so you really might feel that. And obviously you probably don't want to. But again, what's coming up is just showing you what programs you're still playing in your unconscious mind that you're ready to let go of. It's not coming up for no reason. It's coming up to be seen, observed, recognized, to be forgiven as a pattern, and to be gently let go of. Finally, we've got on the 21st as well, we've got Jupiter in a square to Chiron. Now, Jupiter is currently in your 2nd house to do with money and feelings of self-worth, and it's in a square with Chiron in the 11th house to do with other people, your friends of friends. And this square has been in and out. It's been sort of developing for quite some time. It is going to be continuing for some time as well, but this is exact at this moment. Now, Jupiter in the square, I think any social anxiety that we've got where we don't feel good enough is really emphasized with this square. And so it kind of goes hand in hand with this one here from Venus and Saturn. Again, it's a potential feeling of unworthiness. So these two playing at the same time. Do you know what? I think the new moon in Sagittarius in your 7th house is really encouraging you to ask, what is it that I need to know to be able to have the best relationships I can possibly have? If I was able to let go of the feeling of disconnect, let go of the feeling of not good enough, if I could, what is it I need to observe in myself that if I could recognize it, nurse my way through it, love myself through it, I would be able to have really great relationships with a really natural way of being attached to my partner, and not be avoidant, that I can find a really great balance between the styles and love somebody as a completely healed and whole person. To me, this new moon is offering us those seeds. And I just think straight after, we're reminded of why we need to make these intentions to ourselves. And then, the sun comes into the sign of Capricorn, and everything that you've collected so far, that's what you're taking forwards into the next season. This is what your work is going forwards for the next few months. So I really hope you have a beautiful week with this in mind. Now, if you like the way I look at charts and you'd like more, then I've actually made my community free to join. So you can join for free. And every week I go deeper with these very charts only I will look at them from the perspective of love and relationships, and also from the perspective of career, money, and ambition. And also on a Monday to Friday basis, I look at the day ahead and really pay attention to what's going on with the moon. So if that is of interest, it's free to join. All you need to do is follow the links below, or even scan the QR code above my face. So hopefully I'll see you in my community soon, but have a fabulous week ahead and hope to catch up with you real soon. Lots of love. Bye for now.